Welcome back to The Rosy Romantic. I'm Bree, and today we're going to be talking about TV shows and movies that you need to watch this fall. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Also, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe because we are so close. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, y'all. I'm really excited about that. So tell your cousins, tell your aunties, tell your friends. We need to talk all things romance. So let's jump right in. So it's finally fall. There's a slight breeze in the air, and you know I need to watch Pride and Prejudice. Like, this is already a given. But now you're saying, okay, Bree, are you gonna watch the 1995 version or the 2005 version? Okay? I know there's a fight all about this and which one is better and everything like that. But what if I told you I'm picking neither? Ooh, but what do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, okay, there is a fantasy rom-dramedy of Pride and Prejudice that I absolutely adore and that I'm going to continue to watch over and over again. And if you haven't heard about this, you need, come closer. We need to talk. Okay, so this is called Lost in Austen, and this came out in 2009. I recently watched this, not recently, I would say in the last 2 to 3 years. I was trying to find something to watch. You know when you're trying to find something to watch and you're like scrolling and you're like, I was like, anything about Jane Austen? I was like, I've watched a lot of Jane Austen. And I was like, okay, I need something new, something fresh, a new take on it. And then, I'm not really into the whole zombie things. I was like, oh, that's not my scene, right? So I saw Lost in Austen. And I was like, wait a minute. You mean we take a girl from the modern everyday world, the 21st century, and then bring her to the Jane Austen world of it all? Like the 1800s? Okay, I'm in. So let me set up the premise for you here. And just because it's time travel, yes, it's funny and goofy, but y'all, the romance in this? So I'm gonna jump right into the premise, but before that, I'm gonna tell you right now that this Mr. Darcy, played by Elliot Cohen, needs more recognition. Because Matthew Macfadyen, yes, excellent job as Mr. Darcy. Colin Firth, yes, they're both very handsome, mysterious, great, different parts of the role for Mr. Darcy, yes. But Elliot Cohen, he also did that as well, okay?
Good choice, Mia. I wonder I didn't think of him before.
For me, if I had to give the Darcys the title, like the 3 Darcys, I would say Colin Firth is like the handsome, like brooding, type. And then for Matthew Macfadyen is like more of the handsome, mysterious type. And then for Elliot Cohen, I'm gonna say is the handsome, sexy type. Yeah, I said it. I know. Like we all can have our own personal opinion, okay? But for me, when I was watching this, I was like, this Mr. Darcy is sexy. I'm like, not to say the guys aren't sexy, okay, they are. But for me, I would say he is the sexiest. Okay, that's just me.
I just love to look at him. Me too.
Your Majesty.
All right, we're moving straight into the premise because I'm getting distracted. Let's talk about the leading woman here, which is Amanda Price. Here she is, this woman in the 21st century. This is in, 2009. And she just got out of this long-term relationship. And the man that she was with wasn't really too invested in this relationship. And I was like, okay, that's your loss because this woman, she's, smart, intelligent, beautiful. And while she is just, thinking, reflecting about the, the relationship she, just was in, she's like, you know what? I need to read some Jane Austen. Like, Jane Austen is my girl. Like, she knows romance really well. And we all love Mr. Darcy, right? Now, there's one night that all of a sudden she sees Elizabeth Bennet appear. If I saw Elizabeth Bennet like in my kitchen and I'd be like, girl, like I was like, am I seeing things? Because shouldn't you, first of all, it's a book, and in that book it takes place in the 1800s. Like, what is going on? But Elizabeth's like, basically, she found a portal. And she's like, you know what? I don't want to live that life that was in the book. And then Amanda's like, what? And basically, she kind of tricks Amanda into going to the world of Jane Austen, you know, in the 1800s. And now Amanda can't get back. So Amanda ends up stuck in the Pride and Prejudice world, like in the 1800s. There, you know, no modern medicine. She's a little bit frightened by this, and she's like, is this for real? Like, this could be, you know, a reenactment. I don't know what's going on. But she begins to question the family. This is the Bennet family. She meets Mr. Bingley, that instead of having eyes for Jane, has eyes for her. And she's like, I do not want to ruin the story written by, you know, the lovely Jane Austen. Like, I have to make this right. And I have to get back to my world because that's where I'm meant to be. So, when Mr. Bingley is like, you know, trying to woo her, she's like, I have to get his eyes set on Jane because Elizabeth's not here. I'm going to actually have to fulfill that role because right now she's playing the role of Elizabeth's friend. So, in order to get Bingley's eyes set on Jane, then she sees Mr. Darcy, and she's like, well, you know, if I go over to Mr. Darcy and I'm interested in him, then Bingley's gonna be like, oh, you know, I can't be invested in her anymore. So this is how they meet. And so you get to see this adventure ensue because really Mr. Darcy is meant to be with Elizabeth, right? So is he going to still kind of pursue that, you know, relationship, that longing for Elizabeth? Or does he pursue this new relationship with Amanda? And this is what's so funny about this comedy is that she knows everything about this 21st century and that she's bringing this into the narrative. And Mr. Darcy's like, what the heck are you talking about?
Oh, can you imagine? Oh no. You don't know.
I want to watch this every fall because there's something warm and cozy about this story. And then when you see Amanda and Darcy together, like there's this one moment when there's like in this corridor, okay? And they get really close and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like that could not happen back then. Like I was like, if that happened and y'all got that close back then, y'all be married like that. Like this will have you giggling, kicking your feet. There's also this scene, I'm not gonna spoil it, but about a fountain and Mr. Darcy, like, okay, need I say more? So if you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. And like, it's a great addition to all the Pride and Prejudice, like, types of narratives, and it gives a great twist to the story. Another warm and cozy story that does not go to plan is The Wedding Planner. This is with J-Lo and Matthew McConaughey. I love this movie. I have seen it countless times, but it doesn't get old. For me, it's very, I don't know, creates that fall vibe because the warm and coziness of the story. But if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it because I'm gonna tell you the premise. Of course, you know, it's in the title itself, The Wedding Planner, and Mary is a wedding planner. So her life is very organized, very tidy, but she has yet to find the love of her life. And she sees, you know, all these weddings that are going on and everyone's finding their true love. And she's like, okay, one day that will be me, but I haven't, you know, found my story just yet. And in the meantime, her father's trying to help. He's like, hey, I know this friend of the family that you might like this guy. But when she sees him, she's like, oh, they were childhood friends, and she's not like really that interested, but she's still kind of thinking about her career and wanting to become partner at this wedding planning company. So while all that's going on, in order to attain that partnership, she takes on this like high society wedding. And the person that's getting married, I believe, yeah, again, they're very wealthy, and she doesn't know anything about the groom. She just knows everything about the bride. So this shouldn't be a problem, right? Right? So after she takes this high profile wedding, she walks outside the office and she gets her heel stuck in a manhole cover. All right, so she's in the street, this is dangerous, and then way up the hill, did I mention this is in San Francisco? So there's a lot of hills going on here.
Whoa, just rewind and freeze.
And way up the hill that we see a cab that bumps into one of these dumpsters, and the dumpster wheel starts to unlock and it's rolling down the hill. Okay, so here's J-Lo. Okay, here Mary, scared J-Lo's character Mary, and this dumpster is coming straight at her, and I'm like, girl, you better move now. But she's trying to rescue her heel because she's paid a lot of money for them. I understand, but girl, this is your life. But then here comes this tall, handsome man, and he runs and he saves her. After he rescues her, he makes sure she's okay because he's a doctor. And not only he's a doctor, he's a pediatrician. So he's a doctor for the children. We love to see it. And she's like, this man is handsome, he is caring. Like, what more could you ask for? Like, this is my love story. So she thinks she just met the love of her life. He's making eyes at her, she's making eyes at him. They also have this like romantic meetup in the park where they're seeing this movie and things. Like, it's all cute. But come to find out, all right, the high profile wedding that she is planning, he is the groom. Yeah, I'm gonna say it one more time. He is the groom, okay? Because there was a name mix up when they were talking about it originally. And now she's like, okay, so that is the same man. Because originally they had said, oh, that the bride is gonna marry someone named Eddie. Apparently that was his nickname that she has for him, and his actual name is Steve. So Steve and Eddie are one and the same. Yeah, so we get to follow this adventure of her planning their wedding, even though they just had a romantic connection. Yeah, Steve and / Eddie had a romantic connection with Mary. Yeah. Now, yes, it is messy, it is funny, it is comical. It is like just a warm film, and I love watching it all the time, especially during the fall. Now, this story has taken Netflix by storm, and we're talking about Poldark. Yes, everywhere that I'm seeing around that they're talking about Ross Poldark and Demelza. We're gonna get into those characters in just a moment. But this is just wild to me because my sister introduced me to this because this was on PBS Masterpiece a few years back. Well, no, a couple years back now. I'm thinking this was around like maybe 2018, yeah, I think maybe 2018 or 2017. Around that time is when I watched Poldark, and it was good. I was like, okay. At first, I was like, so yeah, the British officer after the American Revolution, and then I just dived more into the story and the drama, and y'all, this is some good TV. This is some good TV right here. So if you don't know anything about Poldark, let me fill you in. All right, so here we follow Ross Poldark, and he is a British officer coming back home after the American Revolution. So he's thinking like, oh, my long-awaited, long love of my life is going to, wait for me, and then maybe I'll take over, the family business and estate. Like, everything's going to be fine, especially after that big loss of the war. All right, that he's like, well, I have to look something to look forward to. So he comes back, and he first finds out that his father has passed and that his estate is in debt.
Not enough. Not enough.
So they're in debt. So they had to find that money fast. So he's worried about that. Then he goes to the love of his life, Elizabeth. And she's like, ooh, I'm sorry, boo. I'm engaged. I'm engaged to your cousin, Francis. Imagine you just came back from war and you lost. And not only that you lost bad. Then you come back. You were in severe debt. And now the love of your life is like, nah, I'm good. I'm engaged to your cousin.
Woo! You should have saw your face.
So, bro, it's not funny, but it's funny because it's fictional characters. Okay, so then Ross is like, okay, so what the heck am I gonna do now? So he makes do, and he's trying to kind of reconstruct and rebuild his father's estate to get some of that money that he owes. And then he also meets a woman named Demelza, and she, she's struggling too. She's going through it, and he offers her a job to become one of his maids there. And then, okay, during that time, because he is heartbroken, that Demelza and Ross get closer and closer, and then they get really close. All right, and that's why I'm gonna leave it there, because I want you to see, you know, the wild adventure this show will take you on. And yes, it's many tears. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you that this show puts you through a lot, but the script is so dimensional and thought-provoking. It comes from the novels of Poldark, so if you want to, you know, read about that you can. There's so much of the story to be told, and from Ross to Melza, his cousins, Elizabeth, like the whole thing. It is an incredible show, but yes, tears will be shed, a lot of them.
You guys are like rubbing alcohol. You sting me in the now, but you save me in the later.
Since we're talking about books, we have to talk about book club. We have to talk about book club because, y'all, this for me is such an underrated rom-com, and I just love this film so much because it has an incredible cast. And y'all, Diane Keaton is just, she was just a wonderful actress, and you could just, every time on film, she just had this like incredible joy and life about her characters, and she went for that to translate on screen. And her characters are just so, I just remember being so warm and just lovely. And anytime a Diane Keaton movie came out, my mom and my sister were like, okay, we gotta go see it. We gotta go see it. It's Diane Keaton. And along with the lovely and wonderful Diane Keaton, we also have Jane Fonda and Candice Bergen and Mary Steenburgen. And this cast was incredible, and they're incredibly funny. It's the rom-com you need when you just have like a lovely cup of tea and a blanket and your popcorn and you're laughing till you cry. That is what book club is to me. And let me just tell you the premise about this in case you haven't seen it yet. These 4 women have been friends for 40 years. And during those 40 years, they've had this book club so that they all can come back together and, you know, talk about what's going on in their lives. They connected, and that's something that they can always do, you know, with the group. Now for this book, can y'all guess which book they're gonna cover in this first movie here? Give a quick guess. It's not Pride and Prejudice. It is not Sense and Sensibility, hun. It is 50 Shades of Grey. What? 50 Shades of Grey? What in the Jamie Dornan is going on? Okay.
What's happening?
Okay, so here they go, and they say, you know what? Since it was like, you know, back during that time, 50 Shades of Grey was like everywhere. Like you couldn't get, you know, away from like Mr. Grey, you know. So they decide to read this book for themselves, right? And then they're like, oh wow, like this is very like, ooh, like should we be reading this? But it also brings up the things in their relationships, whether it be past or current. And they begin to think, hey, like, I want to reevaluate what's going on right now in my life. Like, I'm not in that fantasy world of Anastasia and Mr. Grey, but it does make me think about love and intimacy and all these things that they're maybe they're searching for, and whether, you know, in the group there's many things that are going on. So some women are married, some women have lost their husbands, and they're trying to navigate, you know, what does relationships look like after their husband's passing, and then or being single for a while, like what does that, you know, look like and entail, and if you're trying to put yourself out there. So I like how it approaches all different, you know, styles of relationships and what women are going through and how they connect. And it's just a great film about, you know, friendship, and how also that friendship love and romantic love are, you know, just as important. There's not one that, you know, weighs out one another. And that's what I love about the film. And I always go back to, there's also a second one which is really good as well. So I would recommend this movie if you want to laugh till you cry, or cry till you cry, because it's a whole mix of emotions, but it is a wonderful film.
Guys, you know, I've been thinking a lot about the Earth. We gotta leave it better than when we found it.
You know what's better than one fine leading man?
Think and pace.
No, I really should.
Think and pace!
4 fine leading men. Yes, yeah, that's right. I'm talking about the Musketeers. We gotta talk about it because ever since I've seen it, I was like, this is the show for me. Like, this is definitely a fall show. It gives adventure and it gives the romance. But yeah, 4 fine leading men. Yeah, sign me up.
Never has that saying been more apt.
So we follow the story of these 4 men during the mid-1600s. First, we follow these 3 musketeers, right? Aramis, Athos, and Porthos. And they are there to serve and protect Queen Anne and King Louis XIII. Now, we also follow D'Artagnan, that will later on become a musketeer, but in his character, he's a farmer and a tragedy occurs to his family. In order for him to seek justice, he goes to Paris to go see the king and queen, and he's like, you know, basically, what can you do? And they're like, you know, we're doing all that we can, and he goes and asks help of the musketeers and sees that they're a great help to him. So he decides to become a musketeer himself and go into that training. And throughout their adventures, they, you know, find love, romance, they, you know, seek justice, and it is a great series to watch because you get to see all these different narratives of what's going on in the palace, what's going on, you know, throughout the town. You get to also follow their romantic relationships and all of its ups and downs. Did Queen Anne have, you know, a musketeer on the side? You'll find out. I'm like, ooh, Queen Anne, ooh. It is so much fun to watch these regularly handsome men go in and save people and help people. So definitely tune in to watch the Musketeers. Dun, 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 dun. Hey. So let me know what you think about these fall recommendations and subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you have a comfy and cozy rest of your day. Bye!
And call me when you get back, darling. I enjoy our visits.